Hello everyone, welcome back to JK Collectibles. I am Jonah, and I actually want to take this time to introduce you all to a very special guest. This is my cat, Mithril, and as I said, well, she said hi to everybody. She is cat mascot number 1. Alright, so now the introduction of Mithril is over, we're going to do something a little bit different from what I've been doing in the past videos. And I'm going to give you guys a walkthrough of what I did for the Charizard to kind of give my own self-evaluation of it to see where I think it could, it could have lied on the Beckett grading scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it with all of my first edition base set holofoils. So all the 16 cards you saw in the binder, plus about 5, I think it's 5 more spares that I actually had in another pocket protector deck. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the little setup I have here, and then we're going to go into a quick valuation of the cards, and we're going to pick out 10 cards that we are going to take to the event tomorrow to drop them off to the grader from Beckett. So let's get into it. I'll show you the guys' stuff, we'll tell you what everything's for, and yeah. Okay, here is our little setup, and this is probably way too in-depth for what really needs to be done to do a self-assessment of the cards. So the first thing that we have here is we have a magnifying glass. So that's so that we can look at a magnified view of the cards and see any deep flaws that wouldn't be visible to the naked eye. Over here I have a little brush. That's just going to be used to clean any dust particles that might be existing on the card off of it. And, I got that at Michael's, so any really soft bristled brush will do. So essentially, if you can feel any firmness to the bristles, your brush is probably too hard, and you might risk damaging the holofoil surface. What we have here, this is a digital micrometer. We're going to be using that to judge the centering. I'll let you know what that is in a little bit. And over here we have a pair of nitrile gloves. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, safety first. I got to tell you, I am paranoid about the condition of these cards, so I advocate always wearing gloves when handling vintage cards like this. And alright, we are going to go straight into explaining what it is we're going to be looking at, and we're going to look at the cards. Alright. Alright, so now that you guys have seen the setup, we're going to get into what it is we're going to be looking at with the cards. So I have created a reference sheet. This has all the Pokemon cards and then all of the different subcategories that we're going to be looking at. So, the things that Beckett looks at, and I think that every single company actually looks at all of these things, but Beckett actually breaks them down into the 4 subcategories, and you actually get grades on each of them on your card. So the first item is going to be corner. So that's specifically the border that is at the 4 corners of the card. Or if you have a card that has more than 4 corners, then all the corners. We're going to look at the condition to see if there's any of that white-ish, that paper underneath that is showing through, if there's any fraying at the edges, any nicks, any gouges, anything like that. Same thing for the edges, so that's the perimeter of the card. That is not the corners. Surface is pretty self-explanatory. We're going to be looking at the holofoil, seeing if there's any scratches. We're going to look to see if there's any scratches on the rest of the card, on the back of the card, any nicks, gouges, etc. Centering. So centering is the one that's a little bit weird, and I honestly think the micrometer is a little overkill because I have seen PSA 10 cards that, to my naked eye, do not look like they are what's called 50-50 centering. If you're wondering what 50-50 centering is, we'll go over that really quick. I'm going to pull the Alakazam that we had in the binder and be very delicate. So I really like these old Ultra Pro sleeve protectors because they have a somewhat rigidity to themselves to where I can grip the card protector and I'm not actually putting any pressure on the sides of the card, which I think is great. So 50-50 centering is going to refer to, you see this yellow border here and this yellow border here. So if those are exactly equal, that is 50-50 centering. So they go by 5% increments, and I think what they're going to do is they're just going to round to the nearest, you know, half decade, if you will. Okay, be very delicate. Put that over here, and yeah. So we're going to get right into it. So like I said, we're going to look for 10, technically 9, because the first edition Charizard already has a spot reserved on the roster. Take this off so it doesn't get in the way. So you're wondering where you can get nitrile gloves. I just got these at Walgreens. I think they were about $20, and there you go. Yeah. And I don't know how many, 150 gloves, so 75 pairs. All right, remember, ladies and gentlemen, safety first. So, all right, I got the top loaders and I got the sleeve protectors here, so I got them all set aside. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take these cards out of the Ultra Pro sleeve protectors I have them in and put them into these. They're a little bit better than what's referred to as penny sleeves, which are just incredibly thin. And like they would, you know, they would crumble like if you looked at them a little tough. And then we're going to put those and double protect them and put them into the top loaders. So these top loaders, these are a little bit more expensive. They're semi-rigid, and they can be a pain in the butt to open sometimes, but they do a really good job of keeping your card protected. And if you're collecting cards now, these are actually great to have because with holofoil cards or holographic cards, they have a tendency to want to bow over time due to temperature, the weather. You know, their grandmother said they smelled at Christmas, and you know, this will just help to keep them alive, keep them safe. All right, safe from curving, that is. Okay, so I'm gonna put on my glasses. This guy saw my 2 pairs of glasses there. These are just my regular everyday glasses. I don't normally wear glasses, but I like to wear them for this because I like to see everything that I'm looking at. My left eye is good, my right eye not so much. All right. Oh dear. These glasses are kind of coming apart. All right, so we're gonna get into our first card. So we're gonna do the Alakazam. So be very careful. Doing my very best not to damage the card. Whenever you're handling it, gentle but firm is my motto. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the light to catch on the card. So that'll let me see any defects that exist on this bad boy. In fact, I'm actually going to turn my second one on. I need a little more light. I'm really sorry if this kind of bugs you guys. Whew, that's bright. Okay, so we have some white lines around the edge of the card, which is to be expected. So the thing I wanted to say about this collection is that these cards, you know, they were never graded, as I told you before. But this collection is incredibly well preserved, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because when I was a kid, I had the benefit of the fact that my dad, for whatever reason, he's a very smart man, he wanted to preserve the condition of these cards. I think we originally began collecting these just, you know, and keeping the sets just, you know, as a memory of the time that we spent together. But for him, he wanted to make sure that the collection was as intact and as high quality as possible. So that's why we had these really thick Ultra Pro that were over the tops of these cards. So normally you put the card into the Ultra Pro. Here's the opening. You put it in this way. Well, what we did was we created a, you know, moisture resistant seal, or he did rather, and he put it on reverse and then slid it into the binder sleeve so that, you know, all the edges of it were protected at least by one layer from any, you know, foreign contaminant. Okay, so now we've looked at the back. The back looks really good. Man, this card looks in really good shape, man. I'm impressed. Okay, so again, we're going to get the light to catch on it. Okay, so I am seeing a little bit of the holofoil at the surfaces on the front. Not much, though. Man. Oh, that's a hair. Wow. Man, I think we've got a winner here already. This is already going to have one of the spots. So, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to grade it. I'm going to give my edges an 8. And I'm being very strict on my own grading system here. And that's simply because, you know, I'm not a professional grader, but I would much rather be super happy and super stoked by getting a card back better than what I assessed it to be, as opposed to worse. So the corners look really sharp. I'm going to give the corners a 9. I'm actually going to give the surface a 9.5. Now we're going to go into the last one. Like I said, the micrometer is definitely overkill. And what we're going to do is we're going to look, let's turn it on. We're going to look at the centering. Oof. All right, we got 3.46 millimeters over there. And 3.24 millimeters on the other side. So let's write that down. So that is going to total up to, very conveniently, 6.70. So exactly 50-50 is going to be 3.35. And 5% of each of that will be approximately 0.07 millimeters. So it looks like we have somewhere between a 55-45 centering and a, let's say, yeah, 55-45 and a 60-40 centering, which is actually pretty good. And if you look at PSA's grading, that is, you know, 55-45, and I think actually maybe a 60-40 is actually enough to get you a 10. Pretty darn good. So you got 3.66 at the top. And 4.17 at the bottom. So that's going to total up to 7.83 with a 50-50 ratio being exactly 3.91. And so we're not sitting at the same level of centering on this one from top to bottom. So not super spectacular. So we're going to go ahead and give the centering an 8. The centering on the back, as long as it doesn't look terrible. So if you actually read PSA's website, they have much more relaxed standards. I'm pretty sure the same is applicable will be at BGS. It's been a little more difficult for me to find exactly what BGS will look at on the back as far as the centering goes. BGS 10.0 for centering, I mean, they are the absolute strictest of the strict. You need to have like a perfect 50-50 ratio. So, yeah, so like I said, we're going to give that an 8 on the centering. Like I said, very strict self-assessment we're going for here. 9 on the corners, 8 on that, and we're going to go 9.5 on the surface. Very good card. And honestly, I think this averages out to probably an 8.5 if it were to be graded by Beckett. But like I said, very strict self-assessment, and I have no friction in nitrile gloves, so it's very hard to find the opening on these. Ah, there we go. So you may be wondering, why am I putting them in these new pocket protectors, these new sleeves? And one of the reasoning for that is because these ones are clean. Those other ones over time, you know, could have had some sort of damage or some sort of contaminants get inside of them. I'm going to tell you what, we're going to abandon ship on this. We're going to go with the old Ultra Pro pocket protectors because this thing is actually too damn narrow. And yeah, I can't do it. I can't fit this card in here without risking damaging it. So like I said, we're going to abandon that. We're going to put it back into the Ultra Pro. Like I said, there could be dust in here, but these cards were in a binder for 17 years as they were, so I don't think we have anything to worry about. Just be very careful, don't want to create any new defects on the card. Anytime you take them out of the pocket protectors they're in, you run the risk of damaging the card. It's just science. We're going to slide it very carefully into this top loader. Not so much worried about scratches because it's got the Ultra Pro on top of it. Tap it in. That's going to be our card number 1. I don't think I'm going to find a card better than that in this entire collection. That might be in better shape than my Charizard. So, I'm going to set this one aside, and we're going to do a time warp to get you to the end of this, because if I do this for every single card, it's going to be way too freaking long. Alright, I'll see you guys at the end. Hey everybody, so I realized as I was editing the video that it was pushing 20 minutes long. It's probably going to be over 20 minutes long when all said and done. So we're going to break this down into 2 parts. So we just finished showing you what we were doing and the whole process. And in the next video, I will show you the roster that we created, as well as footage from the day that we submitted the cards to the Beckett Grading Services representative. So thank you guys for sticking around. We're going to short cycle this. We're trying to upload every Saturday at 5. Like I said, we're going to short cycle this week and do a video for you Wednesday at 5. And I hope you guys really enjoy the video. And thank you so much to everybody who's been liking and subscribing so far. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I look forward to giving you guys, keep giving you guys good content in the future. All right. You guys take care. Thank you very much.